For today's lesson, we're going to order and then compare decimals. So the first question I have is, which is greater, 34 hundredths or 248 thousandths? So I'm going to use our thousands grids to shade in these decimals so that you can actually see which one is greater, but I'm also going to put them down in this chart. So my first one, I have 0 in my ones. I have my decimal point, which is right here. And then I have 3 in my tenths column, 4 in my hundredths column. And then there's not a number in the thousandths, but when there is nothing there, that really means that I have 0. So I have 0 thousandths. Moving on to my next number, I have 0 in my ones. I have my decimal point. I have 2 in my tenths, 4 in my hundredths, and 8 in my thousandths. So I'm just going to fill out this chart first. I'm going to go in now and shade for 34 hundredths. So I have 3 tenths, what we just wrote down in our chart. So I'm going to shade in those 3 tenths. Remember, those are kind of the strips, and there's 10 of them representing tenths, so I shaded 3. The next number I have is 4 hundredths. So I'm going to shade in 1, 2, 3, 4 hundredths, and those are the squares because I have 100 of them on that grid and I needed to shade in 4. So that is the size of 34 hundredths. When I come over here to my 248 thousandths, I have 2 tenths. So I'm going to shade in my 2 tenths. And then I have 4 hundredths, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can zoom in here and shade in my 8 thousandths. So here's 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so again, we can use our grids, to look at them as a picture to see, which decimal is going to be greater. And if we look, this one right here, I'm going to go ahead and put a star right here, is going to be bigger, my 34 hundredths. Even though this decimal looks longer, I have 3 full strips or tenths, and this one only has 2. So my 34 hundredths is going to be greater. All right, here's another example. Okay, I have write the decimals in order from greatest to least, so biggest to smallest. I'm going to show you my favorite way to put decimals in order. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to make 5 decimal points. And I'm going to go ahead and write them in. It doesn't matter the order, so I'm going to go from what I see. 1 and 2 tenths, 0 and 25 hundredths, 0 and 248 thousandths, 0 and 34 hundredths, 0 and 24 hundredths. What I also like to do is add zeros to the end so that they are all lined up to the thousandths place. So what I mean by that, and I'm going to use a different color so you can see. So this is 1 and 2 tenths. I'm going to add a 0 on the end and a 0 in the thousandths. Okay, and that's okay. I can add the zeros to the end because I'm just saying, hey, there is nothing in that hundredths column. There is nothing in that thousandths column. Here, there is nothing in the thousandths column. There is nothing in the thousandths column and nothing in the thousandths column. And so now they all kind of line up evenly for me, so it's going to make it easier when I go to put them in order, which is what we're going to do right now. So I need them to be in order from the biggest to the smallest. So I start all the way on the side to the left, and I'm going to say, what is the biggest number that I see? I have 1, and then I have a bunch of zeros. So that 1, this is going to be my biggest number. It is a 1. All the other ones are 0. So I'm going to write 1 and 2 tenths first. Then I'm going to cross it out because I already used it. The next thing I do is go over to my next column, which is my tenths. And I'm going to look, okay, I've got a 2, a 2, a 3, and a 2. Which one is the biggest? And that's going to stand out because this 3 is bigger. So that is my second largest number. So I'm going to put 0 and 34 hundredths. That is my second largest. I'm going to cross it out. Now I'm done. All right, I'm going to go back and see, okay, I've got a 2, a 2, a 2. Well, they're all the same. So I now need to go to the next number, which is in my hundredths column, to see, and I've got a 5, a 4, and a 4. Well, that 5 is going to be the biggest. So this is my third largest. So 0 and 25 hundredths. Cross that out. And here I've got a 2 and a 4, a 2 and a 4. I need to go to the next number because they're both the same. When I go to my thousands column, I have an 8 and a 0. Which one is bigger? That 8 is bigger, and then the 0. So I'm going to write 0 and 248 thousandths and 0 and 24 hundredths. And that is the end. So that is my favorite way to put your decimals in order. Line up all your decimal points and go one at a time and see which number is bigger and place them, cross them out as you go. All right, 2 last examples I have here. Okay, I have 0 and 862 thousandths, 0 and 901 thousandths. Which one is bigger? So I'm going to start. I've got a 0 and a 0. They're both the same. Now I'm going to go to my 8 and my 9. Which number is bigger? Oh, that 9 is bigger. So this is going to be the larger decimal. And again, one more time to practice. I always start all the way on the left. I've got my 1 and my 1. Which one is bigger? They're both the same. Move on to my 7 and my 7. They're both the same. I'm going to go to my next, my hundredths column, my 9 and my 6. And there, I've got a 9 is bigger than 6. So I'm going to eat the 9. That is larger. And here is your lesson practice. Place these decimals in order from greatest to least.